Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you may be. I'm doing today, I was thinking of doing my streams in the evening, and if that would be better for you, can you please let me know in the description below? Just trying to see where I can be more effective as far as people being able to join my lives. So if I can't get enough people, then I'm probably going to go back to videos, and then people can watch them whenever. Just let me get my chat up here. There we go. All right. Hi, Dawn. To see you. So this was done in June 13th, so quite a while ago. I did take a couple weeks off as it was my birthday this month, and my twin sister came down for a couple weeks, and we just had a really nice, relaxing time playing in the garden, doing some shopping, and traveling around. Went back to her place and spent a few days there, and went to visit family. Hey, Brenda. It was really nice. I really enjoyed it. It was a good time to get away. Are you participating in World Watercolor Month? I did see that it was starting. Um, I just got back from the little vacation type thing, so I haven't had time to really consider it actually. But I'm not one to really do the prompts uh, that they usually give. If I'm going to do it, I would probably make my own prompts. Um, but I do watercolor every week anyway. So, and July is a really busy time for me, gardening wise. So it takes a lot for me just to do these live streams. And luckily today is wicked hot out, so there's no way I'm going to be outside today or tomorrow. But if there was like watercolor month in the fall or the winter, yeah, I would probably do it. But summer's just way too busy. So I'm a dedicated gardener. Are you participating in it? Oh, I wish send some of that rain here. We haven't had rain for weeks, and I'm kind of scared to see my water bill. But I'm not going to let my poor plants die. You are? Oh, awesome. Do you post on Instagram? I suppose it's probably under watercolor month on Instagram. You're behind a day? That's okay. It can get stressful too. Uh, and I find that if you're going to be doing the prompts, be kind to yourself and try to do something simple. Because there's nothing worse than trying to be creative when you're stressed about it. I should post on. Yeah, I think I saw that you can hashtag it. I think it's World Watercolor Month 2023 or something. I cut down my artist paper to 3x5 cards and paint prompts. Oh, that's good. So it's just a small one. Yeah, it's smart. Yeah, because this, the creating in whatever medium you're using, it's all about the process of enjoying it. And when you're thrown into that rush, rush, rush mode, you don't enjoy it. So I think they should do watercolor month for 2 months. Somebody should do something. You give them, I don't know, spring watercolor season or something like that instead of a month. Yeah, I'll work on my raspberry prompt today. Cool. Just enjoy it. That's the main thing, isn't it? So if you were with me on Thursday, I do mixed media or acrylics, pastels, whatever I've got an urge to do. This was a board canvas and it's acrylic, and we painted this. And there is a traceable for all my members to download if you're interested in that. So today, because I was away, I thought, well, I haven't documented anything. So how about doing a documented month of June? So what I typically do is I'll sit with a piece of paper and I'll think of all the things that went on in June, or if I want to remember a special occasion or maybe something significant happened, or maybe it's something I look forward to in that month, and we can draw it and then do a watercolor of it. And there's many ways of doing this. Actually, I'll show you a couple of them here. I've done a few in here. Usually I do them in my personal journals. Um, but I have shown a few where like this one here. I was about January. So I have a little hidden door there and write about the day. You don't have to write in it, and I've actually added stickers to this too. Um, here's the other one. This was another one, October. So lots of art and YouTube. I found a praying mantis. Here's some ginkgo leaves. I actually put a ginkgo leaf on there. And this is a little hidden pocket that I wrote about garden and different stuff like that. So it slides in the cup there. And I think this was a YouTube video. I'm not sure though. And I have one other one here somewhere. Where did I put it? Oh, this one, fall. So it was about the tulips that I got in the mail, leaves, that type of thing. Oh, here's the other one. Back to school. It was for September. So again, just think of things that you can draw to represent instead of using words. That's what I like to do. And it's a little harder than you think because we're used to just writing it down, right? But try and think if you were a kid and you didn't know how to write, how would you draw that? It's actually a really good challenge. So We'll start on a new page. So I like to usually do a 2-page spread when I do this type. And I do have a stencil this time. This is I believe it's, I don't see anything on it. Usually there's something on it, but I don't see anything. It was a stencil. I got this, like, it's got to be 10 years old. It was used for, somebody was doing classes with it. I can't remember who the teacher was even. Um, But you could spray this and make your divisions, or you can just use a pencil and put a rough uh, edge down, but kind of gives you a little bit of idea if you're kind of stumped in how to organize this. I love this idea of doing it for the month. I have draw my day journal, need to try a month one. Yeah, sometimes, like again, you don't want to be pressured, right? And when you start feeling pressured about doing something every day, it becomes a chore and not enjoyable. So you could even do a week. Doesn't have to be a day. It could be a week or a month or even a season, whatever would be easiest for you. Oh, thanks, Brenda. Thanks, Don. So I've been racking my brains trying to think, and I did a whole lot of gardening in June because May was terrible here. Uh, Very cold. Nothing was really coming up fast. And it was basically, May was, your bulbs, tulips and muscari, that type of thing, daffodils. And we didn't get any rain in May. So the ground here was as hard as a rock because we were on clay here. And I couldn't dig into the garden. I had to wait for the rain to come to soften the garden up so I could dig. So I didn't do a whole lot, but that's why June was horrendous amount of gardening. So naturally, I'm going to put some gardening tools, shovels, hoe, uh, flower pots, maybe my gardening hat in. And then my sister came down for a couple weeks. So we could represent that by maybe uh, somebody, we're both standing together, or um, I don't know, clicking glasses, wine glasses. That would be a good one. Um, Presents, because it was our birthday. Um, so we could put a cupcake in with the number of our birthday years on the top. Would be a good one. And June's usually a really awesome month for roses. So I did have some beautiful roses come up. Um, and what else? Oh, presents. My son got me some awesome bird feeders. So we could put a bird feeder in, that type of thing. So, yeah, I can either start off by putting the grid system down like this. And you don't have to stick to just the way they have it here. You could actually make this big area here, or you could make this long part here and then a smaller part. It's endless, really, what you can do. Hey, Zandra. So, let's put a cupcake in. I think I'm going to put it in on this side. And how big do I want it? Do I want it? Let's put it on. I don't like things in the middle. That's a composition type of thing you have to think about. You don't have to. These are kind of wonky lines too. So actually, let's take a sponge and wet our palette here with some water. And I'm just going to use up the excess on my palette here. So it's a mix of all kinds of colors. And we'll use that. I'm just going to wipe my palette with this and we'll see what we get. So now it could be a mess. We'll see. But it'll give us a little bit of a it's not the darkest. If you have sprays, go ahead and spray it. Nothing says you have to stick to just watercolor. We could go into some colors here too. This is kind of a muddy looking thing. Just keep adding to it until we get something we like. Got some red, some purple. Okay. And there's the line. Okay. So just dry that up so we can draw on it. Maybe a rose as a topper on your cake. Well, that's a good idea. Okay, now I know there's lines here, but I'm not going to be worried about it. So let's make a little cupcake here. So usually they have a accordion looking paper around it. That doesn't have to be too fancy. And then a nice little bit of cake coming over here. Kind of like a muffin top. And then a whole whack of icing. Why not? Actually, my other son brought over these beautiful cupcakes, and they decorated them like the tops were hydrangeas in blue. Oh, it was so beautiful. So we could do that. And then let's see if you have any kind of stencils. Let's see. I can put the numbers in. Here's one. This should work. And we'll just put the 6. It was a big number this year. 65. Officially retired. Retirement age here in Canada. So just using the stuff I have sitting around. So that'll work like that. What else? Put that aside for now. Oh, and I do have a book to show you. If you remember this from a couple weeks ago, and the artist has a book out that I got inspired by this, so I'll show you that. Just remind me, I keep forgetting. Okay, 65. What side of Canada are you on? I'm in Maine. Ontario, southwestern Ontario by Lake Huron. All right. What else did we? Little flowers. We could put bird feeder, gardening tools. What else was out? A gardening hat. I know we could put a gardening hat here. So that. There's my gardening hat. Make this brim a little bit wider on the bottom here. Are you a twin? Yes, I'm a twin. Fraternal. There was 3 sets of twins in our family. One set didn't make it, but all girls. And then I also have 2 brothers that aren't twins. There. Okay. And then what else can we do? Those little holes in the side of the hat for ventilation. Flower pots. That's when you get all of your, well, actually, the end of May, beginning of June is when you get all your annual flowers for like your containers, that type of thing. Lots of baby birds around and bumblebees. Let's put a bumblebee on here. So let's do with a face facing you. So we'll put big eyes in here. Antennas. And then they have a fairly big body. That. And then the other part. You raise bees. Awesome. We have a ton of bees here. But there has to be some sort of beekeepers around here because my garden is always filled with bees. It's nice, but I've never seen so many bees. And there's a leg there. Probably should have made the 65 a little bit. Oh, we'll put it behind it, I guess. And a little about here, I guess. There. I think this needs to be bigger. His head's not quite big enough. Let's make that bigger. He's getting bigger and bigger. It's going to be a bumblebee. That. And round eyes. There. And fuzz. Just so we can see what we're doing here. They'll be fuzzy. Like that. And then his wings will come out like this. I always make their wings actually too big sometimes because they do have really, for the size of body, their wings are quite small. That. And I'm just gonna take this out here. I know you can see through their wings, but just so we know where they are. And some veins in there. That. I'm an identical twin, but my sister passed away about 6 years ago, and you must miss her. Yeah, my other sisters are identical. Uh, My daughter was pregnant with twins, lost them. Ah, that's so sad. It comes with practice, Brenda. You'll see. The more you do, the better you get. It's all muscle memory, and the more confidence you become, or not become, you get. So that's a big one, I find. You're not confident in yourself. You hesitate, and you question every move you make, every stroke of the pencil, and you need to be more confident and just do it and see what happens, basically. Okay, so bees. What else we got? Flowers, pots. Could do a rose, maybe. Let's do a rose. Just gonna maybe do a bud. Mm, should we just do something like this with we'll put thorns on the stem, and then a bunch of little buds, rose buds. Usually they have clusters of leaves. They come in threes. Kind of an almond shape to their leaf, usually with a little bit of a serrated edge. You don't have to get real detailed either. You can just make them as simple or as detailed as you want. Okay, I'm trying to think, which way do the thorns go on the rose? Up or down? Hmm. So does it look like this or like this? I think it's this. I think it's down. What do you guys think? I haven't got one in front of me, but I think it's down. What do you guys think? They get smaller as they go up into the stem. I don't know why, but I have the tendency to do it the opposite direction. But I do think it is down. See the things you don't remember. That's why it's always good if you can get out into a garden and really study what it looks like. It'll be stuff you didn't even think about. Like, are they parallel or are they? I think they're down from each other. They do get bigger as they go down. I think I need to stop and look at the rose more often. Yeah. down, I just thanks, Brenda. Isn't that funny, the things you think about? And they get little, tiny little, actually these ones up here can be really small by the bud area, just like little pricklies. Down, down. That's so funny. Hey, Devin. Okay, so there's our, and I'll put some rose buds. So let's see. They have the little hip area, and then they have the calyx or whatever you call those things. And then the bud. And usually it's very tight depending on the rose. And these calyx can be quite big actually. Some of them are bigger than others. You can also have them covered in like a moss rose. It looks like it's got moss growing on it. It's really cool. Some of them maybe are still completely covered. And when they're still covered and not showing their petals yet, usually it's kind of coming to the top to a point like that. And we'll make this one a little bit more of a bud. It's not out yet. I haven't got a rose in front of me, or I would look. Like that. Smaller maybe. Probably doing this wrong. I would think that maybe the top one should have been more on the bud form, and then the ones underneath would be open more. So I think that's how they open. So the top one is the newest, but it all depends how crazy detailed you want to be. Like that. Okay, so that's good. So the roses were going to bloom. They are gorgeous this year. I have a bunch of David Austin roses, and one of them is its third year, so it's finally established, and it's just got a ton of buds, and it's beautiful. My brain wants them to go. Yeah, right? I don't know why, but okay. So then we could do the same thing and just make our own boxes with the stencil. What else do we have? Gardening stuff. Well, let's put the handle of a cultivator here. And I don't know how many fingers or whatever you want to call them there are on a cultivator. I think there's 4, but I could be wrong. And then, oh, I got my, we're seeing it on an angle. So let's see, got that wrong. Like that. So I'm seeing it's on just a bit of an angle. So I'm seeing the underneath of it. That way it's more recognizable. Because if I had to put it just face on, you might not know what it is. Try to get it all the same size. Like that. There. Guess that would go to a point. We'll just do that. Does it look like a cultivator to you guys? There would be kind of a shadow, like fingers has a shadow in the knuckles. Same thing in a cultivator. So this part would be raised. Well, I'll show you how we'll play with that as far as the shadowing and highlight. And that needs to be changed because we're seeing it in a different perspective. So it would be on, we're seeing it on this side. Yes, happy 4th to all my friends in the US. I didn't know that it was called a cultivator. I call it a claw thingy. That works too, Devin. It works too. I call it that too. When my brain doesn't register. All right. Then cultivator hat, cupcake. I can write in here too. So here's that. We could use one of these. Maybe this one here. We'll continue this. Bring it down. Where did I put that? There it is. And take some more of that mishmash of paint and just continue this across. And that'll be a place to put in some writing about the day or whatever. I can also do a big sun here because it was pretty sunny and warm in June, I must say. Let's see, what else can we put in here? Maybe looking at all these little squares here. Kind of like kind of like these three squares right here. What can I do with them? I think I'm going to use it for date, maybe. So I'm going to put some more of this color in. Like I said, you can always use sprays or even ink if you've got ink stamps, that type of thing. Okay, like that. And maybe this one here for my, I don't know, signature, maybe temperatures. Could be all kinds of stuff. But I kind of want to have that broad over here. But let's see. Now I could separate these in some way, or I could just leave it. Let me think. I could do this. Let's do some watercolor first, and then we'll see. We can always add to it later. Thanks, Candy. We didn't do a whole lot. I have dogs here. So it's stressful for them with the firecrackers and all that. We do hear it here in the country. I don't know why they're letting people do it with all the fires going on, but well, kind of seems counterproductive. Here they are fighting fires and they're letting people do firecrackers and that. But it is what it is. All right, so let's start off with, how about our bee? I have this, it's a silver ruby satin triangle, medium size. These are really great for fine tipped work, flowers, leaves, that type of thing, because you can double load this even with a watercolor. So I'll show you. Let me wipe my palette so it's clean since I made a mess of it. Especially if I'm going to use pink or any yellows. You want a fairly clean palette so you don't contaminate your nice bright colors. All right, so I did spray this before I came on. I like using Daniel Smith Green Apatite Genuine. It's a beautiful color. It's great for leaves. It's a nice olivey color with just a touch of brown in it. It is granulating too. And I also like adding, I should get more of this out. I'm almost done. Winsor Newton Permanent Sap Green is a really nice color. Also, it's more like a Kelly green. It's clean. Some of that. Almost done. So we can use the Kelly green or sap green for the more or less the stems. I'm going to bring it into the vein too. They're usually a little bit lighter. If you want to, you could also use ink. Don't have to just use watercolor. I really like to mix mine up. Use an assortment, color pencils, gouache, whatever strikes my fancy, basically. A lot of times too, you'll find roses have a little bit of a reddish tinge to their stems. And they can be quite dark also, but they do have kind of a almost burgundy color. So you can mix it up. I'm going to put a little bit of this darker color here in the hip of the rose, just and underneath. See how nice this tip is? There'd be a little bit of a shadow, so you want it fairly dark under there. These are buds. They aren't showing any color as far as the petals. Just starting to come up. And then I got some Da Vinci leaf green, which is a very almost chartreuse color, I guess. You can mix your greens up because the leaves can be different. Might have a little bit more green on them, or maybe they're dark, because roses can be different. And just put little rough edges on the leaf. They are serrated, like that. A little bit more of that bright green. A little water on my brush. While it's still wet, you could also add, sometimes there's even red in the leaf. It's actually really neat to paint them because they are so different depending on the type of rose. So you can put a little bit of, let's see, alizarin crimson in here, just a smidge while it's wet. Just usually it's around the edge of the rose. Sometimes it's just down the middle into the stem. Sometimes it's just right along the edge. And don't play with it too much because red and green are opposite on the color wheel. So when you mix them, keep playing with it, they will cancel each other out, so they will turn brown. Unless you want that to happen. Depends. Just could leave some of that lighter color for the vein. Or you can also come back in with colored pencils. Don't have to do it all in watercolor. Sometimes it's a little easier using the pencils. Let's put some red in here. Maybe mix it with this green. Make it a little bit on the brownish side. More green. Just play and have fun with it. This is your sketchbook where you can experiment and see how things work. It's your safe place for doing stuff, so just have fun. Don't get upset with yourself if it's not looking the way you want, because this is how you learn, by doing. And you can't learn without making mistakes. So is everyone just taking it easy today? Do your stores and all that, do they close on Independence Day? Here in the lake region, most of them stay open, but in the cities they're closed. But they're allowed to stay open here without being fined. Well, I will be making a low carb one shortly. What's that? A gluten-free macaroni salad. Oh, that sounds good. What do you use as the macaroni if it's gluten-free? Is it quinoa or? Make some more. A little bit more into the calyx, covering the bud. You can make it at different colors if you want to. Some of them are darker than others. Some might have a little bit of that red in it, maybe. Big sale day tomorrow. Everything is open. I use a brown rice pasta. Oh, that sounds good. I'm always looking for, well, with me it's wheat. I can't have wheat. So I eat a lot of quinoa. Um, I've been gluten intolerant for years, but have ignored it for a while. But my doc says I need to try harder. Yeah, I get excruciating migraines from it. So it doesn't take much for me to behave because I hate it. And it's usually the migraines are, I wake up with them in the middle of the night. So that's not fun. So it doesn't take much. That and milk. I can't drink milk either, or dairy products. So it kind of limits what I can eat. And I love cheese, but I can have a little bit of it, but I really have to be careful. I don't do dairy either, yeah. Let's do this in a pretty soft pink. It's the bud, so there'd be a little bit of more color in it. Looks more pinky, but when they're in bloom, they're a soft, soft pink. It's beautiful, beautiful color. A little bit darker, more intense down in the bottom part here. Love quinoa too, yeah. And that looks pretty good. All right. Now this I guess I could have a kind of a handle. Let's see, a little bit of a roundness to the handle, so kind of like that. Actually, there's more of a thickness in the handle, so it would be a little thinner on the top part here. So it would go into the, like this. Like that. So we want a gray color. So to make gray, you want to take burnt umber. Okay, and then the darkest blue you have, French ultramarine or an ultramarine. You can even use Payne's Gray or indigo if you want. That'll work. And just graze it right down. And then you just make it the lighter gray by adding water. I'm going to get my other brush here. Just because this brush is a watercolor brush, this isn't. so it doesn't hold the water as much. So I want something to hold water to make it lighter. So we'll put in a little bit of a darker along the edge here and right under here too. But don't go all the way to the outer edge of the underneath part, so that'll have a little bit of a highlight. Like that. And then right in here, be a little bit darker. So that's kind of like in here in your hand. So if you can think of your hand, how it would be shaded a little bit. And then right in here is a bit of a shade because they're rounded. So you want more water on your brush and paint just to lighten that up a little bit. That. And over here, just on the side. A little bit on the bottom. And then as you go towards the center of each finger thing, you make it a little bit lighter. Now we will put a bright highlight on this too. You don't have to worry about it right now. We can use gouache or colored pencil, but there is a bit of a highlight like that. We can make our handle whatever color you want. I think they're green actually, the one I have. So let's get that nice green apatite genuine, and maybe a little bit of leaf green in there to brighten it up just a bit so it's a little more colorful. Like that. And it'd be darker along the sides, so it's round also, the shape. So you're going to have a little bit of a darker area. Now the perspective of each item isn't making any sense, but they don't have to when you're doing this type of thing, because this is just basically what do you call them? Mood board or whatever. Kind of the same, or a collage, but you're painting it. So we want a little bit lighter as we go around the edges. So I'm just using the leaf green now and quite a bit of water on my brush. Like that. And maybe some of that dark green on the inside here. I'm going to put a little bit more down here, a bit more of a shadow. And my paper is still wet when I'm doing this, so it's going to blend in itself. There. Okay. Now my hat is pink and gray. So the rim is pink. No, the rim is gray and the top part is pink, I believe. Yeah. Actually, no. The underside is gray, but this is bright pink. And then now my sketchbook paper is just ordinary sketchbook paper. It's not watercolor. So my watercolor isn't going to react the same way if you have a watercolor sketchbook. But I think this is a good way to show you. You don't, when you're first starting out in watercolor, I know so many people kind of shun me for doing this because they say that you have to use arches watercolor because you can't learn on inexpensive stuff because it won't be the same. I get that, but I just don't see spending that kind of money when you're just starting out. Number one, it's going to stop you from doing a lot of watercolor because you're not going to want to wreck that good watercolor. So when you do it this way, you're more apt to experiment and have fun with it. And like anything else, I find if you start off just experimenting with watercolor in this way, seeing how it moves, seeing the colors, learning blending. If you can do it on sketchbook paper, when it comes to the time of using good paper, you won't have any problem at all because it's a good watercolor paper. You'll find it easier actually. So if you can do it on this type of paper and enjoy it, then you've got it made. I don't know if that sounds right for you guys, but that's the way I look at it. If you can use paper that's not meant for watercolor and have success, then you're going to have great success with watercolor paper. Okay. Yes, everything feels too precious if you are using really expensive watercolor paper, but I think a middle of the road watercolor helps you feel free. True, true. There is a freedom of the way the watercolor moves, yes. But if you're just doing this type of watercolor, so it's not really detailed, and your blending isn't top priority in getting whatever it is you're painting right, then I don't think you need it. I guess it depends on your style. What are you going for? What is your end goal? Is it just to have fun in a sketchbook, or are you wanting to do frameable work? Um, if that makes sense to you. Same with if you're just trying this out, you're going to use it in this way. You're not, it's more or less just to have fun, just to be creative, not really, you're not really wanting a frameable piece. You don't even need the expensive watercolor, really. Um, uh, I meant feel free to make mistakes and oh, okay, yeah, yeah. It's you do, yeah. So many people I've seen. Well, I can even relate to feeling that I don't want to do that because I'm not that good, so I don't want to wreck this paper. Uh, You know, even certain sketchbooks. Don't buy a real expensive sketchbook. This these sketchbooks I got on Amazon, and I got 4 of them, and there's 200 pages. You got 4 of them for $15. So it's cheap, but I really enjoy working in it because I don't care if I make a mistake in it. That's what it's there for, to learn, just to have fun, just to be creative, something to do, and not worry whether I'm wrecking a page and feel like I have to tear the page out. Who cares? Glue the page together type of thing. Okay, so I got a theme going on here. So I have the pinks, the greens, a little bit of brown, the grays. So now I'm going to do this bumblebee. So I'm going to start off with the lighter color first, and I'm going to use Indian Yellow by Core. And again, depending on how light you want it, depends on how much water you add to it. So this is a more or less a bumblebee, I guess. Um, that could be a regular bee, but I don't think they're this fat. I'm just going to put some stripes, and the body is round, so I'm not going to go straight across. I'm going to go on a bit of a curve to represent the shape of his body. Okay, I'm gonna, I don't think I'll do over the wing. Okay, and then let's put some in his body part here. I'm going right over my pencil lines. And I'm going to put black on here, so I'm not worried as far as and then I want to make up some more of that black. So that was Payne's Gray. And Burnt Umber. You kind of have to play with that combination. So add a little bit more brown or a bit more blue, and that'll give you a different shade. You just have to kind of experiment with the 2 colors to get the right shade of gray, because it'll either be a warm gray or a cool gray depending on how much blue you put in. If you put a little bit more blue in, you'll get a cool gray. If you put more brown in, you'll get a warm gray. All right. Or you could just use black. If you have black in watercolor, there's nothing wrong with using black. I know a lot of people kind of shun using black, but got it, use it. I'm going to let it bleed into that yellow because it kind of looks fuzzy then. So I'm just putting in a light coat. And add a little bit of water to my brush, and so it's a little lighter on the top here because its head has a shape and it's round. So it'd be a little bit lighter there. And I'll just put a little bit down there where his mouth is. Then his legs would be a little darker. So more on the black side. A little bit darker on the underneath. And some of them are kind of fuzzy, but we could put that in with pen. I'm going to go around the 5 so it looks like it's behind that number. And make that a little bit more fuzzier there, just under his body. Okay. And then this here, and we can always go back and add highlights with gouache or colored pencil. And we can add the little fuzzies too. So don't worry about getting that spot on. You can add that later. Little foot. A little bit lighter on the top because it would be just a tad lighter there. And let's put some fuzz on here, the top part of his body. And I'm just dabbing. And if it bleeds into the yellow, that's good. It'll just fuzz it out a bit. Make it look a little furrier. Do the same. I'm going to try and stay away. I don't want it completely fuzzy. I want some indication of the colors. Like that. And very, very light color of gray on the wings. Kind of blotchy. And just watch you don't go into that body because then the wet paint you just put on will run. Now his eyes will be black. We can come in later once the bees dry and make the black a little more intense and add a little bit more orangey color to the yellow. Or we could just do it with colored pencil. Alrighty. So I'm trying to remember what color the papers were on the cupcake. I don't remember. But we could, let's do the chocolate brown. So we've got some umber here. And I also want some raw sienna. And I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre with that. And we'll just put, kind of dab along the line that's between the paper and the icing. That'll be the cake. So if we just dab, kind of gives it that look of speckles, texture of cake. And then a little bit of the brown here and there, more along the top part under the icing because it would be shadowed. Or down in the by the paper where it would be shadowed also. Gonna always go back and add or take away stuff. So right. What should I do? Green. Let's keep the color combo. So I'm going to do green. So actually, I'm just going to put in a coat of this green all over it. And then we'll go back in and put some highlights and shadows in. That. Oh, add the sun gold to the bee wings. Oh, thanks. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Thanks. Completely forgot about that. I love that. Yes. Do you still have that sun gold in your, like, do you sell it still, Sandra? That's my favorite for doing wings. And just taking a clean brush and I'm gonna just wipe over that area. Like that. Okay. And the 65, well, I could do the sun gold in the 65 too, or just gold. Yeah, the sun gold is such an awesome paint. I don't know if you guys remember any of my other videos that I did of the fairies and stuff like that. I'll use this sun gold. So it's this here. Look at that goodness. It still keeps the transparency of the wing. You can still see through it, but when you turn it a certain way, you get this beautiful, beautiful sparkle. I love it. A little bit thicker on there. Show you in a minute. Oh, you can see it. See how it sparkles? Oh, I did take out, where did I put those? Do I have gold in this? I have these H2Os. No, no gold in there. I kind of want it to be solid. I probably, let's see, one of my other ones out. There it is. Okay, this is, oop, I lost one. Kuretake, I think. Isn't it Kuretake that had, I can never remember. Let's spray it, get it going. Tansai, I can never pronounce it. These are really nice. Jilly gifted me these. I just love them. Now, put the 65. Just have a very good tip on your brush when you do this. And a steady hand. Didn't have much coffee today, so it should be good. Take your time. Gotta concentrate. It's funny, when you concentrate too much, then your hand starts to wiggle. So you could use your stamps with this too. If you have stamps, stencils, anything really, you don't have to just stick with just watercolor. If you have stickers, use them. Just makes your page. Who turned 60? I did. And me. It was the big one. Yeah. I'm going to use a little bit of oxide, yellow ochre, I think. Just to, or maybe a little bit of orange. A little orange. Yellow, maybe? I don't know. I just wanted a little bit more orangey on bits of this. Now, I know I can always go back with colored pencils. There. Yeah, thanks. Yep, June 10th. My sister and I had our birthday. Okay, let's put I'm going to use that darker color here. So when you're doing this, when you're putting a shade in a accordion style, you got to look at where it recedes in. So the little loops that it goes like this. Okay. So this part is lighter because they stick out. This part is the darker part. So you want to put a little bit of a darker color along that line. And don't fill the whole thing in though. We just want a little bit to show. I knew your... Oh, yep, milestone. I'm officially retirement age. I'm now a senior, and I'm proud of it. Yeah, we're the youngest of the kids. Now, usually a little darker on the bottom because they kind of um, are more concentrated down on the bottom. So you want to put a little bit more of that in there. A little bit more. And I'm going to put just a bit more the tops parts here and there, where I think it would be a little bit darker because it's kind of going into the cake part. Okay. All right. And then now we can get a little more elaborate and add a little bit of a shadow on the hat here. Like this. Just to give a little something, something. Okay. Now let's dry that and we'll get some colored pencils or a pen out. Maybe colored pencils. We'll fix the bee up. See how those wings just glitter? I think they're not a, it's not a harsh glitter though. It's a subtle shimmer. I've been painting lots of bees lately. Oh, have you? They're fun. So many ways you can paint them. They're fun to draw too, just with pencil or a marker, fine liner. Let that be good and dry. So I think with the bee, I'm going to start off with a pen. So I have some, this is a Sakura Microperm. And it's a 3. I like these. They're permanent. So we can add a little bit of fuzz to this guy. A little more intense color also. I'm just kind of scribbling, really. Just going into that yellow. We want to make them a little bit on the fuzzy side, and we can also go into that yellow up above too, and make it darker in the center. Bring it down. And his legs can be a little bit on the hairy side too. That. Do you want me to bring you guys in more so you can see what I'm doing? Yes, I can. Okay. Did I miss? No. Let's do some more fuzz in here. I'm not going to cover everything, but just make it a little bit more darker where it needs to be. Shadowed areas, basically. I understood. I read that language. Don't worry. Now his eyes, I want real black, except for the highlight area. Make it oval shaped because we're not seeing the eye straight on. That. Let's lighten that a little bit for you too. Is that better? There's highlights a little bit different on this side because you're seeing it differently. And right in here, it's going to be black. Right by his head. Just fuzz. A little darker closer to his head though. Kind of had a rough hair day. And right in here, just kind of a circle area of fuzz. And just a little bit around the chin area. And then his leg, I want a little bit fuzzy. Now these guys probably aren't like this, but this is just a made up bee. And his little antennae will be going kind of like this. And like this. I'll put a highlight on that. And a little bit of fuzz along this part. And then his wings, I want a little bit of an outline, not terribly all of it, but a bit. Because if you outline the whole thing, it kind of makes it look heavy, and we don't want his wings to look heavy. We want some veining though. This might be a little difficult because of the kind of have to wipe your pen because it tends to take up that stuff on it. Sparkles, lift. I'm going to make this eye a little bit. You can always add. All right, and let's put a little bit of fuzz on there. That. And this can be a little bit fuzzy. Going into the both sides of the yellow. Remember, it's got a shape to it, so don't do it straight. The black has to have a curve to it because his body is curved. And we'll put a little bit in this one. Not as much hair on the bottom though, like that. And maybe just a smidgen right here. Okay. Little foot. And all right, that looks pretty good. It's cute. Then if you have a white pen, as long as you're not doing any more watercolor on top, you can use your gel pens. You just can't use any more paint on top of it because it'll come off. Oh, this one's not. Let's see. A little bit of highlight in here. And on his leg here. And let's fix his eyeball. That. And a little bit of a highlight on the antenna, or whatever they're called. I'm not a bee person, so whoever's got the bees, let us know what this is called. I'm going to put a little bit on the top part here, just to brighten it up a little bit. And maybe a spot right here. It never fails. I always get stuff on me. See, always got my hands and arms in my paint. All right. So there's our bee. And then the cupcake. Let's put, I'm going to, should I use, let's try it. I'm going to make some flower petals. The cupcake that was given to us was kind of uh, like a hydrangea um, icing, hydrangea flowers icing. It was really pretty. So I thought, let's do some petals. So we'd be seeing them at different angles, so it doesn't have to be exactly. But I'm thinking when I'm doing this with the dark pink, I'm thinking of more or less the shadows that this would be leaving with the petals. So it's not necessarily a full flower. And then we can put on highlights too. So it would be a little bit darker on the bottom here. We'll put a little bit of like that. And then I do have some gouache here. Is this one? No, that must have been acrylic gouache. So put a little bit of this in, just a smidge, because we don't need a lot. And add a little bit of this pink color. Make it lighter. And we can, I just want a little bit of a pink. And we can just put a little bit, just as an indication that there was some highlights on these petals. Nothing crazy. And then I think I need to do a little bit more brown in the bottom here, just to darken that up a little bit. Shadowed. So it would be shadowed in there. Like that. So what are you guys are you gonna try a month, doing a month of drawing and painting what you did for the month or week or whatever? Try it. It's a lot of fun. You just have to pretend you're a kid and you don't know how to write. So you have to think about, how do I represent this one thing? And make a list of the things that happened, or you did, or you got, or you celebrated, whatever it is. Put it down on a list. And then what you do is think of things that you would do to demonstrate that, to actually show that in a drawing. It's kind of like a prompt, actually. I'm just adding a little bit more depth by adding a darker green to these areas. Just gives it a little bit more oomph. I like adding colored pencil. So I'm not a purist by any means as far as watercolor. I guess you could say I'm a mixed media watercolorist. It's the best way to put it, I guess. Let's see. I'm going to add a little bit of this bright yellow. The areas that would have the, actually could add a little bit of white. Let's see. Where do I have my white? Oh, for Pete's sakes, where's my white? I know I have one. Well, I guess I could use marker. Let's see. Just a little bit of a line. Not much, just there'd be the slightest amount. Let me shake this. I could use the gouache too, but let's try this. Okay. Where did I put it? My brush. Oh, there it is. Let's try just a bit of white on my and I'm just making a little half circle where those dips were with white. If you have a pen that's opaque enough, you could use that. That's too much. See, this is when you play and learn. What will work, what won't work, what looks good, what you wouldn't do again, that type of thing. Take some down. That just gives it a little bit of added interest. Although I work at a school for kids with behavior problems, so my paintings might get a bit let's get a brown. Make this a little bit darker, just a smidgen darker here and there. Maybe where it jets in a little bit, just to give that a little bit more depth. And you could do that with in this area too. Just you could put speckles if you want to have it more a little textured. Like that. It all just adds to the little bit on the bottom, maybe just to darken that. And you could go even further with this too. You could make it even darker to bring it in more. I work at a residential home for trauma informed kiddos with behavior challenges. I admire you. You got people that work with challenged adults and kids. They're so needed, and not enough of them, of you guys. Oh, I'm going to get a little more. And I'm just going to give a highlight to my hat, just on the top here, maybe on the rim, like that. And then just around the rim here, maybe, like this. Or at the back here, just to give it a little bit of light. And the same for right in here. A bit more opaque. That. And then down the center, there'll be a little bit more of a brighter white of these fingers of the cultivator. Like that. Now I can bring you guys back a little bit. It's kind of whited out on you. Okay. That. Maybe a little bit on the green handle right there. Just a bit. And then on the stem, there'd be a little bit of a shine. Now in the center, doesn't have to be a lot, but it can be a little bit. See, I'm getting kind of detail, getting into detail, and I don't have to, but it's how I roll. I like detail. Just a little bit of white, the tops of these buds, just a smidgen. Brighten those up a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to get, let's try this. Now you can put a little bit of color highlight in some of this these leaves, but leave a little space for the vein. So a lot of times you'll see the highlight, but the vein is recessed. You don't have to put it on all of them, just a bit. These are kind of very simplistic. You put a little bit of highlight, and let's put a little bit of dark under here. See, just a little bit of a shadow under those leaves or buds. And maybe even a shadow under those thorns. Just to bring them out a little bit. And maybe they'd have a highlight on them. I don't know. And I don't have one in front of me, so I'm just making this up. The best thing to do is get a reference. But I'm just playing. A little bit more recessed look in the leaf. Let's give these a bit of a vein. Bit of veining in there. Just gives it a little bit more interest when you do that. You don't have to, but it does help. Like that. And let's see, what else can we do here? Guys, oh, that way. There we go. A little bit bright for you. All the dawns are getting kicked, but definitely love the job and love to paint. Oh yes, don't forget bit hair pulled and dug. It's a rough job. Yeah, I know. I have a daughter-in-law and a niece that's in the field. Yeah. The highlights and shadows made all the difference. Yeah, it's the detail. I love detail, and it does. It's the finishing part. Let's put a little bit of a shadow on the bottom of this hat. Like that. Yeah, it's amazing what just a little bit. Just a tiny bit of detail here and there will do. Like that. And then a little bit of gray or black. under the band here. Like that. Right in here would be dark. That. Could do a little bit on the sides here, just a smidge. Right in here where it would be darker. And just right in there. A little bit darker. And I think I could do that. Like that. Just to bring those out just a smidge. There. I think I'll bring it out a little bit. Oh. Okay. So there's a little bit of watercolor, a little bit of Posca. And then what I'll do is I'll probably put a title here, maybe June. If I have, I could either write it, or if I have a stamp, I could do that. If you have words, you can paste stuff. Holiday could go there, or even there, birthday. I think I kind of like holiday to go there. Maybe. Yeah. And then just write about what happened in here, or you could do it in here. And that's your page. So let's 7. Okay, so 7 for 23. That'll be my area for that. Then I could just get a glue stick, because it's just a page in my sketchbook. I don't have to worry about stuff. And just glue that right on there. So I'm using stuff that I've cut out for magazines. Yeah, whatever. All right, so I think I'm done. I'll probably do some journaling in here and writing about the day. Could just outline this. Doesn't have to be neat. I like it kind of messy sometimes. And it's done for me. So I hope you'll give it a try and see what you can do with it. So try and think of your whatever you're thinking of as far as time-wise, week, a month, or even a season, and see if you can make a page out of the words that you put down on a list and draw them out. See what you come up with. All right, so I will let you guys go and we'll see you on Thursday. But Thursday, remember, I will be streaming at 6 p.m. Eastern instead of 1 o'clock. Just gonna see if that will work for some people because I know there are people that are working and want to be in the live stream but can't make it because they're working. All right, so I will let you guys go and you have a fantastic July 4th, and we'll see you on Thursday. Bye for now.